Alright, so here we're going to have a quick review of the Letshuoer Mystic 8. It is a 8BA IEM that retails for around $1,000. And let's get into this. First of all, big thank you to Thaslaya. He's a reviewer who reviews IEMs on HeadFi and on his site. He does fantastic reviews. His photography is excellent, and yeah, overall his coverage is fantastic. And I can highly recommend his reviews. Anyway, let's get into this. Big thank you to him. He sent these over to me saying, you know, I think these really I think these are really right up your alley with the tuning, and he was actually kind of right. Let's get into this. Take out this paperwork here. Take this microfiber cloth. The side here. Take the case out. It's a very interesting case, actually. We'll talk about that. Get the IMs out. And yeah, also it does come with this little like gift. They say it's just a chain with a ring at the end. Or like you can, I think, maybe put this on. I don't know what you would really use this for, but it's free, I guess. I don't know. I think it was kind of just a waste, but I guess at $1,000 they want to include some extra gift or something like that. Anyway, you do get 3 sets of tips. You have some wide bore tips. You have these black tips here that are more narrow bore, and you have this like kind of harder dual tone tips. I did try all of these tips, and I found the wide bore to sound the best, though they don't really sound that different than each other. I expected a bigger difference when they include different sets, but there was a relatively similar sound for me for all of them, but the wide bore did sound the best, and it was the most comfortable. I also tried Spinfit's, Baroque, and the BGVB W01s. Those were also fine. The BGVB W01s were similar to these, both wide bore, made sense, and those sounded good too, but overall I did find the wide bore stock tips to be the best with this set. So the review will be on those tips for the most part. Alright, so let's talk about this case real quick. It is a very nice case. I do like it. It's a very weird case. Never seen really something like this. It has a silicone top that comes off like that. Let's get the cable out of there. We'll talk about that as well. Got the what is it called, the cable tie and the QC card. Alright, so this case is very interesting because it has like a silicone inlay for protecting the IEMs like in impacts on the walls, which I do like. A lot of cases just like metal and just useless. So your IMs are going to get damaged in the case. And the cover is, I do really like it. It's really nice. I think this is a really cool idea. You get kind of the benefits of like a rigid case and the benefits of just a softer case. And it is relatively compact. Pocketable, maybe. It depends on your pockets. But overall, it's a fine case. I think it's nice. Good quality. It feels nice. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's a very unique case. Alright. Now let's talk about the cable. Let me get the cable tie out of the way too. I don't really like these cable ties. Kind of more annoying than helpful. Alright, so here's the cable. This cable's interesting. At first I thought I wouldn't like it, but it is actually pretty nice. I do actually really like this cable. It is very thin, which is why I thought maybe this wouldn't be a nice cable. But it doesn't get tangled very easily, actually. It is a pretty supple feeling cable. And I actually really like the softness to it. Like not like the softness isn't, it doesn't tangle. Like that is a type of softness too. But I mean the actual coating feels soft. It's very interesting. I do like the quality of it. Actually feels like a nice quality cable. It doesn't look like it on camera, but it feels nice, and the connectors are all metal and very nice quality. Overall, I think it's a good cable. Is it like the best I've had on an IEM? No, but it is a very nice cable overall. Perfectly acceptable to me. Anyway, now let's talk about the actual IEMs, design and comfort. Right? So here's the design here. I think these look nice. It is going to be a more polarizing set. It's not something very, you know, basic and normal. It's not like just a pattern. It's got, I would say it's like a cat, kind of like a Egyptian cat or something like that, or like, and this is like a little reflective surface with some patterns on it, and it feels like it's all metal. It looks like resin on camera and in pictures I've seen, but it is cold to the touch, so I'm assuming this is metal actually. And I think it has a little gemstone here or something like that. I don't know, but it looks nice. I like the design personally, but I can see why some people wouldn't like it. Maybe it's a little bit too flashy for some people, but I think it's just understated enough to be like fine, and also looks really fancy as well at the same time. I think it does a really good job finding a balance. Anyway, that's about it for the, oh yeah, comfort. Comfort is okay. I think it's good enough. It is a little bit big feeling in my ears, which is surprising because when you actually see it in person and on pictures, it doesn't look huge, but it actually does have a decent surface area that's touching the inside of your ears. So it is very, you know, there. It's not going to disappear in your ears, but it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't hurt my ear or anything like that, but it is definitely there. It's not something you forget about. Alright, let's talk about sound. Now this is where things are interesting. I actually have notes on my phone. Let me just turn that on real quick. But I'm not going to really use these notes that much, but they're just there. Why not? I did have a lot to say about them because it's a very unique sound to this set. It is a very I like to call it refreshing set, I guess. I don't know. It's very bright and musical, but I wouldn't say it's technical at all. Actually, I expected more detail at this price point, especially in the mid range. The bass is solid, so we're gonna go bass mid size here. The bass is very good actually. I really like this, especially for an all-BA set, but just in general for any set, it's a good quality bass. It hits very hard. The sub bass is very nice, tactile, hits very deep, and has good rumble. The mid bass was also solid, not as good as the sub bass, but also very good. I do want to bring in the Supernova for comparison because I actually found these to be not necessarily similar, but kind of contrasting in a good way. Where I would actually use both of these, but they're also like if I was to buy one IEM, like in this price range, it would be one of these. These are like my favorite IEMs in this price point, at least in like this kind of I don't know explain like presentation style, like overall. And they're also both all BA, of course, but I feel like these are pretty good to compare against. So I wanted to bring specifically this one in. Anyway, the bass I would say hits harder and better than the Supernova. Supernova has good bass, but it's not as textured and it doesn't hit as deep and as hard as this does. This has very, very nice quality bass. It's up there among my favorites at this price point of under $1,000. Going on to the mid-range. The mid-range is where it gets very interesting. Now, this is where I wanted to say where it's refreshing in a sense where I haven't heard a lot of tuning like this, especially in the 1,000 plus price category, because this is a very forward vocal tuning, and I love that. If you see my channel a lot, you know I love forward vocals. The female vocals and the male vocals are both equally forward to me, which is also pretty rare because usually when I hear a vocal forward tuning, a lot of times, especially with duets with a male and female vocalist, one will kind of be more present than the other one is, even if the track isn't supposed to sound like that. And in this one, I really heard that both were like equally present, equally had an emphasis, and it sounded fantastic. Both sounded very clear, very nice, but I wouldn't say the most detailed. It is very expressive, it's very forward, and very big sounding vocals. But they lacked body and they lacked a little bit of texture in the vocals and also in the instruments. It is very vibrant. I like the way it sounds. It's very fun, especially with that bass, and it has a very good bass to vocal like kind of ratio where like the bass is impactful and is still definitely present and doesn't but the vocals are still definitely the main focus of the tuning while still having a competent bass. The treble also is very good. The treble though, there is one small thing that bothered me, and is that it has a little bit of like a kind of a S sharpness to it, where I know on some other IEMs I've had the same problem where the like S sounds kind of just slightly are uncomfortable, but overall it is a well done treble. Not as good as the mid-range and the bass in my opinion, but it's still solid and it has good detail enough. But it's not going to be flagship treble. It's not like the Mega 5 EST or Mega 5 EST Bass Plus. And I honestly like the treble more on the Supernova. I think the Supernova does treble better, more well controlled. It's not as bright as this. This is a very bright leaning set in my opinion. Not like bright and harsh in the treble region, but I mean like it's more bright and not toned down. It's very energetic. While I find the Supernova to be more relaxed, more dark leaning, very neutral sounding, while this is more like kind of just very flashy sound to it. And I do like the mid-range though, I'd say more on the Supernova in terms of quality. Presentation, they're both fantastic. I mean, this is a very forward presentation, well, this one has a very, you know, just right where it's supposed to be, very neutral presentation for the vocals, but still very high quality. And the note weight is better on the vocals on here. You're very, like, very physical sounding vocals on the Supernova. While here, it's more, like, airy, but a little bit just big. It feels like very... like, it doesn't feel like it has, like, a body. It doesn't feel like it has its own, like, space in the track, like, space in the sound. It's just big, but, like, a little bit too thin sounding. It doesn't have, like, a good heft to the vocals. Now, the treble, as I said, it is very good, but it does have that slight S sound to it, like the S sharpness. And I do really love the strings on here. That's another thing. The strings sounded really good. The strings also sounded very detailed on here. I don't know, just that part of the frequency range where a lot of strings lie, fantastic on here. Now, if I had to choose between this and the Supernova, it's a hard choice. This is one of my favorite sets, actually, under $1,000. I really love the way these sound. Actually, let me talk about soundstage and imaging real quick. I almost forgot about that. Imaging is solid, but it's not as good as the Supernova and not as good as some other sets I've seen in the price category. I wouldn't recommend this for like gaming and analytical listening at all. They're not really for that. And I think that if you want something detailed, this is not the set either. This is really a fun set. Stage is normal. It's got a moderate width to it, moderate height to it, nothing crazy. I will say these sound wider, but these sound a bit taller. The depth is pretty poor on here, actually, in my opinion. I don't like the way the layering is not well done on the Mystic 8. So if that's something you care about a lot, this isn't gonna have Mesh Mark II layering, or the layering on here is honestly better. Most higher end sets, they manage imaging better than these do, in my opinion. This is still solid, and also like it is left to right, wise. The imaging is very serviceable, but it's not gonna have that layering you see in a lot of higher end sets. It's really just about the tuning on these. It's a very unique tuning, because you see this tuning a lot in like maybe cheaper sets where the treble is not as refined. Like this again is a very good treble. Yes, it has that slight harshness to the S sounds, but it's very, very nitpicky for on my end. Like it's really still good treble. And usually when you have a very forward vocals, you're not really getting like this high quality bass you're getting on here. And there's some compromises to it a lot. While these feel like a very forward vocal set in a price category that I don't see it in a lot. So that's why I'm very, like it's a very refreshing sound to me. I haven't heard something like this in the $1,000 price category. Yeah, overall though, do I like these more than the Supernova? Not really. I do like the Supernova more, but it is close actually because of how much I enjoy the forward vocals on here. It is still very expressive and just very fun to listen to. This is more though, just a very comfortable listen on here. And these are still comfortable to listen to, but not like this dark, comforting sound that I get from the Supernova. The bass is nicer on here. The mid-range, though, I would prefer on here. Details better on here. Treble, I prefer how it's done on the Supernova. So I'd probably say the Supernova is my preference, but not by a lot. I really do like these, and I really do like the tuning on this. I actually recently got another IEM that's around 2.5K, and I'm loving that set. It's probably going to be one of my new favorite sets. I will get a review out on that soon, and I got it at the same time as I got these. So if I sound even more critical than for something I like than usual, it's because I had this right next to that set, and so I've been listening to both next to each other, and still I love these. So that really says something. I mean, that's over 2 times the price of this, and it's still, this is like very enjoyable to listen to. And there are times where I would choose this over that and over the Supernova when I don't care about detail. There's times where I just want to listen to the music and have fun. I just want to enjoy the vocals. I want to enjoy the instruments. I just want to just enjoy the sound without hyper analyzing for details or, oh, let me see the imaging here and there. That's not always my mood. This is a great IEM to listen to when you're just trying to get some work done and you want a little bit of energy, when you're listening to music and getting your work done. Like, I like to listen to this when I get work done too. So I guess that's where also part of my kind of association with these two being kind of similar is in the sense where I like to listen to these while doing something else. For detailed sets, I like to just focus on listening to the sound only, where these is something where I would do something at the same time while listening to it, if that makes any sense. I don't know if any of you guys had a similar experience where we're a detailed set, I don't really like doing work or doing anything else while listening to a detailed set. But for these things, it's very enjoyable and fun, and I can focus on something else at the same time. Anyway, that's really about it. I love this set, actually. I really do. This is going to be up there on my tier list. I will be tiering it soon. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it at. It's looking like an S tier for me. Maybe S plus, again, I'm not sure. It's competing with stuff like the Supernova, the Mega 5 EST Bass Plus, and the SR8. These are really sets that I absolutely love. And so, is this close to that? Not sure. I'm still deciding, actually. But it's really up there in my recommendations. So can I recommend this for $1,000? Yep. Great build quality. Honestly, it's a full metal, in my opinion, a good looking set. Really refreshing sound signature, very unique that you don't really see all the time. So that's one reason why I'm actually considering getting a set of these for myself, because I don't have a sound like this in my collection. Where there are times where I'd really want to listen to this over the Supernova or over my SR8. There's times where I would want to listen to this over anything in my collection. So it is I do really like these. I know I sound very critical, but that's just what I do when I listen to IEMs. So there's flaws in everything almost for all sets I have. Overall, I can definitely recommend these. I do really like them. It's a great set for the price. That's about it. See ya.